Thank you very much for joining Disinformation once again. This is the third time we've done this. It's a real pleasure each time.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And as usual, you've got a new book out. That's been the reason we've got together before. And the new book is They Killed Our President. 63 Reasons to Believe There Was a Conspiracy to Assassinate JFK. Last time we met, you told me that the JFK assassination was a defining event in your life and that it's greatly affected you. Has the book helped to bring you some sort of closure, even if our government still won't tell us the truth?
Well, the book's given me closure. It was funny, I did Piers Morgan the other night, and he started battling me at the end and pounding on me saying, well, who did it? Who did it? Who did it? And it's very difficult to name who did it. It's been 50 years, but unequivocally, I believe it's given me closure in the fact that I know who didn't do it. Lee Harvey Oswald. That part I can unequivocally state. I know who didn't do it.
Right, exactly. That's what I picked up from.
And it would require a whole new investigation to find out who did do it, and then there's the possibility that you still wouldn't know. It's been 50 years.
Right, so obviously I don't have to ask why now. We know that the 50th anniversary of the assassination is coming right up. Do you expect that the book and others who are writing and talking about the issue is actually going to elicit some truth? Do you think there's actually going to be some disclosure at any point soon?
No. I don't think government will ever fully admit it, and I don't think mainstream media will ever admit it, because they're both co-conspirators. Many people have said to me, and here's a common thing on it, well, if there'd been a conspiracy, it's been 50 years, someone would have talked. Well, the point is, someone has talked. It's just that mainstream media won't report on it. I mean, one of the most dynamic is the fact we show in the book an actual infamous President Richard Nixon and his famous tapes. On one of the tapes, Nixon is said to have said, the Warren Commission is the biggest hoax ever pulled on the American people. Now there's a president of the United States stating unequivocally that the Warren Commission was a hoax.
Do you think that...
Is that not someone talking?
Well, that's absolutely something.
Well, and then let me add E. Howard Hunt on my television show, Conspiracy Theory. When we got St. John Hunt, and he had audio, visual, and written confession from his father on his deathbed, and we aired that, I thought it would be a headline across America. Hunt admits involvement in JFK death. Not one word. And here's a guy who legitimately, how could they not give him credibility as being a person who could highly be likely to be involved? He was in the CIA, he was involved in Watergate, he obviously did many underhanded things, and he would be a person in the know who quite possibly could know.
And I think I read in the book that Oswald wrote to him 2 days before. Is that correct?
No. He wrote to a Hunt.
Oh.
We don't know if it was Howard Hunt. We don't know if it was the oil man Hunt. He just wrote to a Hunt, a Mr. Hunt.
So it could have been that Hunt.
It could have been any Hunt, you know, but they're the two most likely suspects.
Right. Now, as I was reading the book, I started to wonder why 63 reasons, because the first dozen or so were enough to convince me that Oswald didn't do it, right? That any rational person would come to the conclusion that the official version is clearly defective and faulty, right? But you compiled 63. Why 63?
Well, we probably could have made it 163 reasons. We had to pare it down. I chose 63 because that's the year he was killed.
Right, okay.
And so it was a good number to choose right there, 63. In 1963 he died. Here's 63 reasons that, that there was a conspiracy.
Right, now, out of the 63, are there any in particular that really stand out for you as being the ones that it's case closed?
Well, actually, if you go to one that's not even one of the 63, I think this one, see, people need to understand that there were two conspiracies that took place. There was the conspiracy to actually murder the president, and then there was the conspiracy to cover it up. And the Katzenbach memo which is not, I lead the book off with it, and I'll just take it to the very bare. Number one, now this was from Nicholas Katzenbach, the acting Attorney General, to the new President Lyndon Johnson on Monday morning. They haven't looked at a shred of evidence. There hasn't been one investigation that's happened yet. They just had this Lee Harvey Oswald in custody, and the day before he was murdered by Jack Ruby. Here's what he wrote. The public must be satisfied that Oswald was the assassin, that he did not have Confederates who are still at large, and that the evidence was such that he would have been convicted at trial. And then you go to the end of it. We need something to head off public speculation or congressional hearings of the wrong sort. Now, that is a smoking cannon. That doesn't come from Jesse Ventura, conspiracy theorist. That comes from our own government, from the acting Attorney General to the then new president. Anyone that reads that piece of paper, there's your cover-up of the murder right there in writing. What more would you possibly need? Now, you're a rational person. Do you need anything more than that?
No.
From the Attorney General to the new president?
Yeah, no, it's a smoking gun. There's no
It's
doubt.
a smoking cannon.
It's a smoking That's what I meant when you know, and there's, you know, there's one smoking cannon after the next, right, as you go through the book. And, you know, I felt that you front-loaded it, you know, so that you didn't even need to get through that much of the book to have realized, well...
Right,
Yeah.
but they all lead to the other. I mean, one
Yeah,
thing
that's
you'll
right,
find,
yeah.
and the other thing that I love about our book is the fact that at the end of some of this dynamic information we give to you, if it's available, we tell you where to go on the internet to see or view it yourself, so that the reader can make their own decision. They can hear what the person said. They can see officially on the internet what it was.
Right,
that
so where
went
should
on.
we go on the internet to find out?
Well, it says after certain
But
events.
I want you to tell our listeners right now.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. It's
I'm in-
Facebook. Jesse Ventura's official Facebook?
Well, that'll have it, but you
Yeah.
got to remember, I'm internet ignorant. I don't do the internet,
okay.
and I've never owned a
We've
cell
got the right
phone.
person sitting over there who can tell us. I think it's
Yeah.
Jesse Ventura's official Facebook page has all
Right.
the details, right?
Yeah.
We'll have it on there, but we also list independently where you can go in the book to actually see it, where it's not on my Facebook page at all.
Okay, and
either.
one of the things, it's sort of an interactive book in some respects, because in many places throughout the book, you're telling the reader to actually go to YouTube and watch a specific
Yeah,
video.
that's what
right?
I'm talking about.
Now,
Yeah.
now, is there a YouTube channel that the reader should go to?
No, I don't know if there are. They'll get
Yes,
it from
there
the
is.
book. Jen's
Facebook.
mad.
Okay, go to
Yeah,
Facebook.
Facebook. There you go.
Official Jesse Ventura.
We'll get there. Again, I don't do the internet myself, and I've never owned a cell phone, and I never will.
Okay.
And in light of the latest NSA disclosures, I'm glad I don't own a cell phone, because everybody that does own a cell phone can be tracked. They can know right where you're at any hour of the day through your cell phone.
They know we're here then.
Well, if you've got cell
I've
phones,
got my
they
cell
know we're
phone in my
here.
pocket.
That's not because of
Yeah.
me.
That's not because of you. Now, obviously, you know, this book is something that I think that every disinformation reader who's interested in the history of conspiracy theories needs to read, because this is the granddaddy of conspiracy theories. But I want to shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about the government shutdown, which is something that's going on right now as we
Sure.
sit here in New York. This morning you posted a petition to change.org calling for an end to the government shutdown. My question for you is, who do you think is most at fault in this mess that's going on?
Well, this particular time, I would say most at fault falls to the Republicans, the Republican Party, because they keep telling us that they're doing what the people want. The people, the people, the people. Polls show that's not true. And I view it like this. Each one of these congressmen and senators, they have 4 options that they can choose from for health care. They do. And they want to deny us one option to get health care. They should not be able to get anything that we can't get. That's how it should work. And my belief is also this: I can't tell you directly how to get from point A to point B on this. And that's certainly up to them. There are elected officials to do that. But in this country of the United States, I believe that it should be a basic human right that if you're sick, you should be able to go see a doctor.
I couldn't agree with you more. What I think this is, though, is it's a real failure of government, isn't it? Because,
Sure.
Obamacare is the law whether
Yeah.
certain people like it or not.
It's been passed. The president signed it. The Supreme Court said it was legal, and he did it prior to the last election. So if the people were so much against it, why did they vote him into office for a second time?
I think that's right, and I think that tying government spending, the spending bill, to a policy that was voted in,
I'll take it
whether they like it or not.
I'll take it a step further. Everything should be standalone. Everything. There shouldn't be amendments to any bills. Let each bill stand alone and outlaw amendments. If they want an amendment, make it a bill. Okay. Because that's one of the bad things about our government. You can have an initial terrific bill, and then these guys can put 3 or 4 amendments on the bill where you want to pass the initial good law bill, but now maybe it's got 3 things that aren't good attached to it. So then a voter or an elected official is left with a dilemma. Do I pass the initial good bill with these 3 crummy amendments, or do I veto and not vote for a good bill because of these 3 amendments? We need to have clean bills for everything we do. But of course, the Democrats and Republicans don't want that, because by doing what they're doing, they're able to pass a lot of laws that the people aren't really aware of by throwing an amendment on a bill. Just like the last defense bill. That should have been voted down, because there was an amendment put on that bill by Senator McCain and Senator Levin that allows the U.S. military to operate on the streets of America. Now, if you vote against it, then if you're political and you vote against it, your opponents are going to say, well, he's not for defense of the country because he didn't vote for this defense bill. But they don't tell you that it has an amendment on the bill that violates the Constitution and puts our military on the streets of America.
So that's a really good opportunity to ask you about your future in politics. I think that I heard a rumor that you might be teaming up with Howard Stern.
Oh, it's not a rumor. We talked about it. It's no rumor.
Okay. So what's going on?
Well, whether it happens remains to be seen. It'll be up to Howard, if Howard will join me or not. And many people right away, Howard Stern, oh my goodness. But there's always a method to my madness. There's bigger reasons of not giving up values that I believe in. And one of them is this. I think one of the most despicable things in our government today is they've created a system of election that is based completely upon the concept of bribery. And if you do bribery in the private sector, you go to jail. But in our public sector, it's the status quo. It's the way it's done. And when I ran for governor of Minnesota, I only raised $300,000 to be the governor. I actually made more money doing the job than what I spent to get it. And I don't think there's anyone in 50 years that can make that statement except me. And it's because of those reasons I need Howard. Because Howard has, and another reason, I was doing statewide talk radio when I ran for governor. Well, because of FCC regulations, I was forced to leave my job and go unemployed for 6 months while my 2 opponents were at the government trough collecting government checks, working for the government while they're running for another job and not doing the job they were elected to do, because they're seeking another job. Imagine if you're at your job now and you came up to your boss and said, "Boss, I'm going to go out and search because I want to do this other job, but I want you to pay me while I'm out doing it, even though I won't be working for you." What do you think the boss would say to you? He'd say, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out." But yet that's the way they've set up a system that allows that. Here's why I need Howard. Sirius Radio isn't governed by the FCC, so we could use his show to get our platform out there. It wouldn't cost a thing, and they can't take us off the air. Number 2, like Howard said to me, he said, "Well, leave the fundraising to me." I'd love to be able to do that. How much money you think Howard could raise if he simply asked his listeners, "Send us $10?
Yeah, it'd be phenomenal.
And I wouldn't owe nothing to anyone then, would I? because $10 is not going to get you in the door. You can't come up to a government official and say, hey, I gave you $10. You know, I want you to listen to what I got to say and give me a benefit here. So it would keep me clean on that aspect. So it would be, there's the reasons that I need Howard on board with this. Now, maybe if Howard doesn't want to run himself, maybe he would allow me and say Senator Angus King from Maine, who used to be governor of Maine, who is likewise independent. Maybe if I teamed up with Governor King and I, or Senator King today and we ran independently with no political party, but I need Howard to allow us on his show every day and to raise the money for us to do it so we don't have to sell out to bribery. That may be another alternative that I might look at.
So just to be clear, this is for 2016.
It has to be, because one reason is you got to pick your time. And as a third candidate, I believe you never want to run when there's an incumbent.
Right.
Because an incumbent has a huge advantage already being in office. You have to pick the time the incumbent's leaving so that the office is wide open.
Got it. So clearly we know that there's a roadmap from 2013 to 2016 for you. What else are you going to do during that period of time?
Well, I've got a new job. I'll be doing an internet show. I've signed with Aura.tv, the same company that has Larry King, and I'll be doing my show, though, from Mexico. I will be off the grid so that no one can affect me in any way, shape, or form on what I say or what information I pass on to the American people, because it'll be much the same as, if you're old enough, Radio Free Europe, where we used to broadcast to the other side of the Iron Curtain. Well, this will be Internet Free America, where I have to be out of the country to broadcast to America, because here they practice so much censorship now, and you never know, they might try to take me off the air. And the nice thing is the owner of the company is Mexican. He's not from the United States, so therefore I don't think US politics will influence him that much.
Sounds great. When can we start looking at Aura TV for the Jesse Ventura show?
Hopefully very soon. We've dotted the I's and crossed the T's, and I've signed the contract, so everything's moving forward. So it'll be I would expect it to happen within the next 60 days, hopefully.
Fantastic. Let us know when it does. We'll definitely post it on disinfo.com. Anyone who wants to find the petition about the shutdown can go to disinfo.com. They can also go to the official Jesse Ventura Facebook website. That's also where you can find all those videos and other stuff going on with "they killed our president." We still don't know who "they" is, right? But
well, I've got a good idea. You know, certainly you can't, unless you went into a court of law under oath and had evidence there, convict anyone. And that's the one thing about this book. There is no way that, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but if I defended Oswald with the knowledge of this book, there's no way they could have convicted him. No, not any free-thinking jury of average people, because it always has to be beyond a reasonable doubt. And here's 63 reasonable doubts.
Fantastic.
And you only need one reasonable doubt to get an acquittal.
I think that's absolutely right. Jesse, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Once again.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.